Turns out Governor Cuomo's nursing home cover-up was bigger than we'd thought. The New York Times reported that on top of blocking health officials from telling the truth, his senior staffers also quashed a scientific paper that reported the true fatality total in New York. Is the embattled governor's run going to be coming to an end? We'll see. Here to discuss, Mark Simone, host from 10 a.m. to noon on 710 WOR in NYC. Mark, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
So we have Cuomo was securing a seven-figure book deal, and he was suppressing. We already know he was lying, right? But the latest is that he was lying even worse than we thought he was for a longer time. Is that pretty much what's going on?
Yeah, even for him, it was a lot of lying. It was a major book deal. A guy like that, first-time author, governor, doesn't get $4 or $5 million for a book. He got that, which, by the way, is a way to pass money to a sitting governor when you're doing business in New York State and you're the publisher. And he wanted to make sure the book deal went through, so he was covering up like crazy that 15,000 people were dead in the nursing homes. By fudging all the numbers, saying it was a hospital death, not a nursing home death, he somehow got it down to 5,000 or 6,000. He's now blaming the whole thing on Donald Trump in today's news conference. He said it was a Trump investigation, the Trump Justice Department, Trump was after him. Of course, that's not the case. It was the thousands of families who were just shattered by this, who started this clamor for this investigation.
I know Democrats in New York, your home state and mine, are willing to believe a lot, especially as they walk around in Central Park with 2 masks on outside still and everything else. Like we know that there's a lot that they will abide by because their side tells them to. But I mean, blaming Trump isn't the AG, Letitia James of New York State, looking into this? I mean, aren't these now just facts when we're talking about the suppression of the truth? I mean, are Cuomo's lies just becoming pathetic in that they don't work, or is he still managing, are his numbers still looking pretty good among Democrats?
No, his numbers are bad, and he will be caught in the federal investigation, U.S. Attorney's Office, Letitia James. They'll prove he covered it up. They'll prove he obstructed. There's no question about it. He's doing a George Costanza. Remember the Seinfeld episode where George had to teach the secret of lying, and he said, if you believe it, it's not a lie. So Cuomo, in some psychotic kind of way, has convinced himself that everything he's saying is true, and he says it with such ferocity and passion that it looks believable, even though there's no chance on earth he's telling the truth in this.
It's pretty amazing. There's some Machiavellian stuff he does. I know recently he called for a press conference, where was it, out in Buffalo or something, but
yeah.
Nobody had any notice of this. So instead of having the Albany press corps, who are all Democrats, but at least they do this for a job, you had like the local, Buffalo Times Tribune political reporter showing up who just gets manhandled by him. So, I mean, his ruthlessness, he does act a bit like an amoral Italian, prince in the 16th century. We have to give him credit for that, at least.
Well, they always used to call him Emperor Cuomo, King Cuomo. He just dictates all this stuff. Today's briefing, he put up this thing. He said the 3 things you judge New York by. This is what New York has to have: be clean, be safe, and economically competitive. So if those are the 3 metrics, he's the worst governor in history. The biggest crime spike ever. It's filthy, and the worst taxes ever. And everybody's leaving. So by his own definition, he stinks.
He also, there's a whole other layer here. It's one thing to hide your numbers as a public official because of politics and you don't want the heat, which is bad enough. But with the $4 million book deal, now it's almost like it is like you're hiding it as well because you want a big payoff. So you don't want the public to know what you're really doing. Whole thing's a mess. Got to ask you, do you think that, is there any turning of opinion in Albany among Democrats in the state legislature for any kind of action, though? It feels like you have, national level Democrats, Schumer and others have said a few nasty things about him. The only guy who really seems to go after him, though, is de Blasio.
Well, a lot of people think he's okay now. He got through it because it got quiet. It got quiet. This is the lull between 2 storms. It may be quiet on the front pages in the news, but behind the scenes, there are 30 people testifying at the Attorney General's office. The Eastern District U.S. Attorney's Office is working hard. They're compiling a massive investigation. The Attorney General's report will be devastating, not only on the lying about the nursing home, but the sexual harassment stuff. The legislature, they're using him right now because he's in a hostage situation. He has to do whatever they tell him. A week or two ago, they took away his emergency powers, overruled him on things. He sat there quietly, but no, it's the lull between the two storms. The next one will be huge and probably take him out.